Itty here with another kind of little modification video. So this is the Thrustmaster TPRs, and I've had these for about a year, and I finally got this mod for the dampening kit. So this thing right here will provide some resistance, and it's actually very, very smooth. I got this on eBay. It says it's from CubeSim. I don't know if it's actually from CubeSim, but this is the package that it actually came in inside of a box. I was actually pretty impressed. I was like, yeah, this is kind of a cool case to keep. I have, as you can see, tons of stuff for storage in the background, so I'm definitely keeping this box. But anyway, so this essentially came with all the parts, came with the tools, screws, and everything like that you need. It's pretty basic. There's only about 4 or 5 things that you have to put on there. But there's a video, it looks like a Chinese video that's just muted, and they just kind of have somebody holding a cell phone while the guy builds it and stuff like that. So I just want to explain it to you as we go. And so this right here, they've got some 3M double-sided tape. There is a kind of a skew to it. So this is the thinner side, this is the thicker side. So you can't put it on backwards or upside down. There's only one way you can theoretically put it. Okay, so it won't fit like this in any position. It would fit over here, but that's the wrong way to do it. So this would go like this, and it can't go like this, and it can't go like this. It'll only fit exactly where it's supposed to be because it's, again, this is tapered. So that's basically how this thing is gonna go on there. So once it gets stuck in there, then basically that's gonna hold on this guy. Once it's on there like this, and then this will actually go into the clamp here on the bottom. So I'm going to figure that out and kind of see exactly where these panels go. So I assume this, again, I'll just look at the instructions again and kind of figure this out, but most of this stuff is pretty self-explanatory. You can see that these screws will get tightened into here. That will be on the platform right here. And then I suppose this is just a cover for, or this is the back plate. Yeah, so this goes like this. So this piece right here just goes behind there. I gotta figure out how to get that behind there. That's interesting. Hopefully they don't have to take all this crap off because that seems like a pain in the neck, but I may have to take off this unit too, but I'll confirm that in a minute. So I'm removing these screws right here. It comes with this right here, this Allen key. I just use computer screwdrivers. It's just much easier and much faster to get to those type of things. You don't have necessarily leverage, so you have to get it started with this guy. And once it's broken loose, you should be able to just use the screwdriver and get the rest of it. Yeah. So see if this gets loose enough to where we can pull the back of this thing off. This does not look like it's going to budge without this one as well. So let's try and see if this guy fits. Yeah, I don't quite have the leverage for that. I'm going to have to get a pair of pliers. There we go. And I've got other Allen keys if I need to, but this is a cool little trick. Just don't grab it like this and turn it. And you have leverage. Oh boy, I hope that's not screwing up something on the inside like this. Oh, Jesus. Fucking cats. Oh, I knew it was going to happen. Ah, damn it. Okay, so, and that didn't even do it. Okay, so that loosened it, and so that's away. But I have no idea. Oh man, I'm gonna have to take this thing apart to get that screw back in there. How am I gonna do that? Shit. All right. So that was a pain in the ass. So I could not get it out. It's like trying to get a pick that's too big for the hole out of the, out of a guitar, out of an acoustic guitar. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, so what I just pulled out was these two, just the nut and the washer. For this long bolt that just holds the whole assembly on there. I don't see how there's any way of getting that piece on there without actually taking this bolt out. So just going to make it easy for you. If you have to do it and it drops, just take the 4 screws that are around this little guy. And it just basically is the panel that holds all the USB and all the sensors and stuff like that. But just take these 4 out like this. This will be easy enough to put back in because you can pull it with the cables. But that was a pain. I tried to use a magnet to kind of get it on the back and hold it upside down, but it was just like these things are swinging around on me so much that it's such a pain. Anyways, that's the hardest part, I think, is just putting that clamp on the back of this piece right here, and then be able to put the assembly back. So let me put this thing back up on the block, and then we'll get it back up. Okay, so again, I just pulled this up there, held it in place, got one screw that held it, and I just pulled these things together. So stop messing with my parts, man. Strawberry's not here, man. Would you get down? Anyways, okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to put that piece on there, put the bolt back on this thing first, and then I'll show you how I did that. Okay, so again, the next thing, or the first thing that we need to do is just put this on the back, and we're going to do that by just taking this 3M pad off of here. And we're just going to pick this up while this is still disconnected, and you'll see when it slots in, it's going to slot in kind of in this perfect kind of spot, and it'll just kind of stick there. Doesn't really want to move up or down. Kind of does a little bit. It's not as perfect as the other one, but these are going to be the 4 bolts you're going to use to just go through. And it looks like there's nothing really other than this. I think it just attaches through. I think these are the threaded parts right here. There's only 2 of them. Oh no, I'm sorry, they're on the other side too. Yeah, so these are this guy. So we're gonna go ahead and just throw that on there. Yeah, but now that I kind of think about it, you're gonna have to take this, drop that, take this off, get that replacement screw that comes off from there, and then it should be okay. So what we're gonna do is just put this in where it's gonna fit, and then we'll just have to move the other piece, which is pretty easy to do. We just drop these through. I seem to want to connect pretty good. And I'll use my screwdriver with that one a little bit, just to make it go quicker. All right, sweet. I'm going to do it across. All right. That sucker's on there. All right. Oh, it's beer 30 already. Holy shit, this is taxing me. All right, so now we got to put this guy back on there before we can actually attach it. With these other screws. I don't, you know what? I don't know why I didn't see them, but you didn't have to remove this at all. This would have been fine. This just comes up. So I screwed up. But if you do screw up, like I did, it's not like you won't screw up. This is why I do these videos, because even intelligent people can be morons. All right. Yes, so you did not have to do that. You only had to take off the 4 screws to mount this. I don't know why I didn't see them. For some reason the light was bad. But they definitely have that hole just so this thing can fit through. That's fine. Okay, so that sits there like that. So now we just go ahead and put these guys back into place. Okay, sweet. So that part's over, and now this thing is back and running again. I want to do one other thing on the back of this. I got to take these screws off, so they are, I believe, the same thing. Yep. And I think what they do, I think it's pretty basic. It's this guy sits right here, and obviously we're going to take off I guess it keeps it from rattling, but the longer screws are going to go from the top of this to this, and so the other piece is going to mount to that. So we're going to use these screws right here to go through the bottom. Obviously we're going to remove the tape first. So I figured out where those are supposed to go. So those get taken off and they get pressed in there, but you can see that these are not really cut that great. So they really don't fit. So I had to unscrew this. All right, so you were able to put these things in there. I just smashed them in there with a, you know, kind of a thing, just got them flat. And then I'm going to go ahead and screw them in. What I did is also take these screws, these longer screws, and kind of pull them out a little bit. That way, because this has a little ledge that has to go over. So we need to go over this first and then lay those on top of the screws. And then we're gonna go ahead and drill those in. Screw them in either way. Ow. Oop. All right, so that's done. And then the last thing we need to do is just put these little guys over the top. And they don't need to be really that tight because I don't think they're going to go anywhere, but we'll tighten them down just a slight bit. But the screws are pretty well in there, so this is what we're looking at right here. We're just putting those on the top of those two bolts. Nail that like that, and boom. Okay, so before I put the dampener on there, we'll just go ahead and push right here, kind of feel the experience. But when we do this, you can see how much play, even full. That's quite a bit. They have these little stopper type of deals here, which are pretty quiet and they feel pretty good, but we want to definitely put some tension on here. So we just go ahead and pull this guy out here. It's got a couple of washers. So we'll put this guy first in here. Going to use some Gorilla spray adhesive. So I'm just going to spray this in the box. See if this works. And just kind of use this as a guide so it doesn't fall. All right, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna leave that in place until it sticks on its own. Yeah, I'm a genius. All right, so if you got a little spray adhesive or you can kind of hold it in place, I should be able to just remove this guy. Don't fall, be cool, be chill. Only need you to work once. Roll this guy back over. See if I can straighten this ball as much as I possibly can. So it's not gonna mess with me. And then just lightly, oh shit, it's on the wrong side. I would have thought this would have been a slightly easier repair, but it is not as easy as one would believe. It is a little bit cumbersome. Oh, you bastard. Don't worry about that. Okay. What a pain. Freaking absolute pain in the nuts. All right. So, all right. So that trick worked. Got to get this guy on there. Get that tight. Get this guy on there. And that's it. It's assembled. The two leftover bolts you should have are just from the TPR, which are these two screws. That was it. So now we just got to kind of tighten these guys up a little bit. And we'll go ahead and test the dampening. This thing doesn't seem to want to turn. Maybe just needs to get worked in a little bit, but I was able to turn this. It had some clicking. There we go. So that's more dampening. So that should be the tightest. Oh yeah, that's really hard to turn. Oh, cool. Kind of releases a nice slow. So I'm wondering if we were to, there's not really much you can do with the tension of the springs, but we do want to take that down. Okay, so this is fully lowered. Yeah, it just needs to be worked in. So this is really nice. It adds a completely different level of dimension when you are just working with that dampener. You know, these are going to still feel exactly how they should. They just need to be spring loaded, so there's no big deal with that. But it feels like there's just a little bit of mechanical resistance. It almost feels like you've got a kind of real airplane kind of giving you a little bit of feedback. It's actually very cool. I have flown real airplanes, so I know what they should feel like. So we're going to give it just clicks all the way to the max, just so we can see the extreme. And it's going to be way too much. I know that for a fact. So I push down. Yeah, I really have to push that. Like I'm I'm having to actually stand on that thing. So it's a pretty good dampener. I'm going to work it in a little bit, and we're going to go all the way off, and we're going to give it 5 clicks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and see how that feels. See, that actually feels too much. I don't actually like that. So I'm going to go right back to 3 clicks down. So we got 2 clicks up. That's still, that feels good, but it still feels a little bit like I got to shove it. So I think the butter zone is actually 100% minimal, where it just works it, you know, keeps it from bouncing, but it just gives a little bit of mechanical resistance, but it feels much nicer. It actually has a feel of a plane. So hope this helped. Hardest part for me is putting it back on my rig, because it is a pain in the ass to get back there and put those screws under there. Not very fun. But this was a cool repair. Hope this helped. Oh yeah. That feels legit. That just add that extra level of immersion, just like all these things do. You know, so when we got, you know, good buttons, good clicks, you know, and they feel solid and stuff like that. I mean, out of all of them, I'd say this panel is a little bit gummy. It's very, very cool. It's very, very cool. I still haven't really gotten into it yet, but I love the fact that I have that. But, you know, these buttons they've got a little bit more of a dial type pop this, but, you know, just as far as what those things are doing as far as the resistance with the damper, I highly recommend this modification. It feels great. It just makes it feel just that much more realistic in a plane. So, play with your toys, have some fun, see you in the skies. Idiot out. All right, so this is just a really quick recap of how to do this install. So you're going to have this piece right here. You will not be able to put this on there because these screws go through, and it's a double piece. So what you'll have to do is do not unscrew this. If you unscrew this, you will lose the screw in the back. You'll have to take this whole panel off, and it'll be a pain in the neck to get it out. So I couldn't see them before, but there's that screw, this screw, and that screw right there. That will pull this unit off, and you'll be able to move it up, and then basically be able to put this on the back. It only fits in one direction, as you can see. It fits in the lower side. And what it does is, since this is tapered, it will go on there and it will sit exactly where it's supposed to be. Not over here, not over here, it will be right here. And then the back piece will go on there. Remember to take off the 3M tape off the back so it stays firm. Once you do that, you can slide the 4 screws in here, tighten those guys down, choop, 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 choop. And then once you have that, then you're going to go over to this guy. This guy will sit flush with this in this orientation. You will need to put the bolts, the hex bolts, and then these are the long bolts that came with it that get screwed through here and then get tightened down from here. Now keep in mind, this thing actually wraps around the metal, so you have to slide it over it and then down. So if these screws are fully extended, you won't be able to put them down because they'll knock into them. So basically just put a little bit of the screw coming through up the top, so you can just align it where you need to put it, and then put it there, lock it down, screw these all the way up, put the bolts down, and that's good to go. But you will have to put this on before you put this on, otherwise you won't have access to the bottom of this. If you do try to get those hex bolts in those things, you'll have to probably whack them in with some kind of a hammer or mallet or whatever you've got. If you do have, it comes with pretty much the only tool you'll really need, except for like a wrench, is this is right here. These will take out those particular bolts. They will tighten down the other bolts. But if you have a screwdriver repair kit for like fixing computers or whatever, or iPhones, these things are much easier. You can even take the extension piece out, put it on here, and you can save a ton of time with these screws. After that, the hardest thing is to put this guy right here. There is a washer between both sides, but obviously trying to slide this down, it doesn't want to stay in place. So I used a little bit of Gorilla contact adhesive and just basically just put one on the side of the back, put it right here, threw this on there just to hold it in place so it would stay in place. And then basically after about 30 seconds, I pulled the bolt carefully back out, put this back in there, threw the other washer on here first, then slid it through and then tightened down the hex on the back of it. Which still is tightened, but this one needs to be tightened just a bit more. But that's about it. This is the, once you've got that all assembled, you will be able to click this right and left as far as turning down the damper. So this is increasing it. So when I pull back on it, it's pretty tough to actually move that. So we just have to feel what it feels like on the ground. But all in all, that is the install for this.